Mitsu Air Limited, authorized Mitsubishi air conditioning dealer. No need to replace your air conditioning units ever so often. Split units, cassette, ductable, CTVIF systems and much more. Mitsubishi Electric has long been powering industries and providing solutions for healthy living. Mitsu Air Limited boasts the industry's first 10-year warranty on all parts and labor. Inverter units are also available. Don't hear it, just feel it. Mitsu Air Limited, 246 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. Give us a call at 674-4000 or 675-4000 or email us at mitsu.limited@gmail.com.
Welcome to the home of Pure Oxygen Spring Water. A breathtaking 1,000 feet above sea level where the elements collide. In an area of outstanding natural beauty. This land, our land, embodies nature. And our methods respect it. We use clean energy, solar, hydro, wind, to bring you the cleanest water. Every drop, sustainably sourced from pristine Cornish farmland. From the raw beauty of rainfall to our state-of-the-art bottling facility. Situated on an ancient underground lake. We're reminded of the timeless power of pure water. But it doesn't stop here. The secret of cure lies in the pure oxygen we so carefully infuse. To breathe life into every bottle of pure water, without chemicals or additives. Cure pushes the boundaries of what water can do, uniting life's most essential ingredients, water and oxygen. The next generation of hydration. Pure Oxygen, nature's ultimate water.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening and welcome to Breaking Barriers here on IBN Channel 8. A wonderful evening to you and yours, and I hope that thus far that your health is good and your sanity is intact, and of course all is safe with you and your family. Yesterday was a wonderful day, and I kept reminding myself and my family and those people who were there with us yesterday. I reminded them how, how good we have it in Trinidad and Tobago. Because when you look at, let us get the first advertiser, please, and then we'll go on with this monologue. Let's, of course, welcome our good friends of Tile Expression. And remember, Tile Expression, they're located right off Monroe Road, right there in Chaguanas, for all your tiles, no matter what style of house you have, no matter what style of bathroom you have. Remember, you can give them a call, give them a shout, and of course, they will fix you up accordingly. What happened is that I was talking to someone yesterday. We were at Maracas Beach, and, I met this family, Shumati. So let me hear out Shumati, the roti queen, right? I would buy her roti pre-packaged. If I don't get my roti filled from Juman's Roti, I would, and I want a dalpuri skin or something, I would pick it up at Extra Foods. And of course, our good friend Shumati would be there to organize and sort me out accordingly. Now, when you look at the whole scenario of the whole country and how we could go anywhere, well, most places, and we could relax and we could engage others and have a good time, and we will literally share meals. People who I didn't even know. I made pylori, and I have my secret recipe for pylori, and of course I shared it with them, and they shared stuff with us as well. We were sharing drinks back and forth, so therefore it was, you could come on this side, sir. Have a seat on this side where you could get to see the monitor. You wouldn't be on air, don't worry yourself, right? Right, so the fact is that, you know, when I looked at how, you know, I was sharing a meal with this family that I met there and I didn't know, it reminded me of days old when in the village that you grew up, you can't go a day without a meal, without somebody giving you a meal. And as I passed through Maracas and I passed through different areas where people were seated and relaxing with their family, every single turn I made, boy, come and have a little drink with us, non-alcoholic, of course, come and have something to eat. And it showed you, you know, that Trinidad and Tobago, we still have the vibes. But the problem is that we are losing the vibes rapidly as we go along. Now, one of the things I was thinking about during the course of this entire weekend was that, you know, there are many things that we have a choice in, and there are so many things we do not have a choice in. For example, the megalomaniac that we have in charge, he and his government will choose the president. And the president, in most cases, and we saw that with Paula May Weeks, did the bidding of the prime minister, the bidding of Bliss and others. And this president, because she comes from a very respectable family, I will give her that respect, because I have not seen anything which could tell me that, you know, she's otherwise, well, except some of the decisions that she made in Parliament, which, of course, to me, in some cases, are questionable. But the reason I'm ranting on and on about this is that so many things we do not have a choice in this country. For example, who Rohan Sinanan choose as contractors or the ministry. We have no choice over that. And we could jump up and down like Tarzan, and that would not change, because some of those same contractors were the same one that Rowley, through his forked tongue, was talking about were crooked and were corrupt under the UNC, and those are now the same contractors getting literally billions of dollars in contracts and embarrassing us somewhere all over the Caribbean too as well. We don't have a choice where that is concerned. We don't have a choice who Rowley decides that he wants to bring down for Emancipation Day, Indian Arrival Day. That is what they will decide. We don't have a choice as to who Rowley puts on the state boards. And, you know, it is talking about state board. There was a gentleman on a state board. And this gentleman is a multi-millionaire. And 2 years ago, I wrote the Integrity Commission asking how come this man getting millions of dollars in foreign exchange. And I spoke to his bank. And his bank told me in no uncertain terms, we ain't giving him that amount of US. I can assure you of that. So I wrote the Integrity Commission 2 years ago, and July made it 2 years actually. And today, Richard Jagisa sent out a letter which is going to get the attention of the president. Because the president is the one who does appoint the members of the Integrity Commission, and who knows who does whisper in who ears to decide that who will be on the Integrity Commission. I'm not saying that the Integrity Commission or the members lack integrity, but what I'm saying is this: if something that should take 2 years, and I have a well-respected gentleman sitting down and listening to me here, so he could correct me if I'm wrong here. But the fact is that if something, okay, here what happening. I make a report that X company is spending millions of dollars in US, and I can't even suck salt. When I go to Republic Bank, and I will call their name, and I brought it to the attention of the CEO, to the manager and everybody, and the last time I got money from Republic Bank, I can't even remember, right? And that was for diabetic strips. And this is how nice Republic Bank does treat people across the board now. You know, to me, you know, that is very questionable. But that's a story by itself. We can leave that right here. Now, when I asked the question, how come these people were getting so much forex and other people were starving? Because to bring down high-priced vehicles was 60, 70,000 US, and you were seeing like 8, 9 of those vehicles coming in 1 month, and millions of dollars in foreign exchange. So my antenna, as well as everybody else's antenna, was up. Where the US coming from? So I wrote the Integrity Commission, because this man is on a state board. This man is benefiting through taxpayer dollars. And the fact is that since July 2021, I wrote the Integrity Commission, and they give you this nice little password that you could log in and check the status of your investigation. And my investigation is still going on 2 years later. Just to ask this man, oi, where you getting that money from? Who you getting it from? We would like to see receipts. Please be advised that you have 30 days in which to provide the information. If the information is not forthcoming in 30 days, then here what happening now. We wrote you on X matter. We hereby demand that within 7 days you provide the necessary information. Otherwise, we will take whatever recourse we could under the laws under which we operate. Nothing like that. The Integrity Commission, they should just shut down. Them come like a Vauxhall right now. They have no worth, no value, nothing. They have no substance. They remind me of the former person who was sitting at the head. Absolutely no purpose. And coming back to what I was talking about earlier on, we have so many things where we make choices and things that we don't have choices. But there is one thing that we have, which is our vote. And you know what does shock me, boy? You know what does shock me and tantalize my brain? Like we real dotish. And I continue to say this, when I say we, because sometimes I just feel like I get injected with dotishness too. Because here what happening now. Local government election coming up on August the 14th, which is just 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away. And you know what? The same people who did not clean your drain, the same people who did not fix your road, the same people who you did not see for the entire 3-4 years, all of a sudden knocking on your door, Ma, I come to get your vote. Ma should tell him, haul he or her tail and get out of my face. Right? Memories of, I don't want no highway down here. I'll remember that one. All right, we leave that one right there. Tell Kamala, and we leave that one right there. Right, so the fact is that when you look at this whole scenario, why do you think driving from Curep, from Bamboo Tree to Curep to St. Joseph to Mount Hope, all the banners have photographs of the representatives? Why do you think that is so? Because you don't know who the hell they are. The people who went up and were sitting in that position for 3-4 years, the ones who went back up and were chosen, you don't know who many of them are. If you take the representative for Bamboo and you put she here, plenty people from Bamboo don't know who the hell she is. So that is why they need to put their photos on those banners so that you could say, well, that is what you look like. You know, I don't know when it is we will stop and really think about the power that we possess in this finger. This finger has so much power, and yet we are not willing to exercise it where it is necessary. As I stated before, I am not going to vote this election. I am holding my vote. My vote is a valuable thing, and I am not going to vote for rubbish on either side. I have made that publicly clear, because at the end of the day, I am not happy with what I'm seeing. And to show you how stupid, to show you how dotish this whole electioneering and paving and wanting to pave is, could I get a slide with Rudy Inder Singh, please, guys? Right. Couva South MP Rujanat Inder Singh has rejected blah, blah, blah over the deplorable state of the nation's roads, claiming that it is a desperate attempt to buy votes. Inder Singh joined, and this is what this part get me. Inder Singh joined several activists in a placard demonstration along Savanetta Road and Camden. Now pause right there. My boy, who I consider to be one of the biggest failures as an MP without apology. And as I've stated on numerous occasions on this program, I cannot listen to that man talk. He's the most irritating individual to listen to. Every time my TV is on a radio and I hear his voice, my ears hold as pain. I can't stand the man. And that is my personal take. And I do have, or if you have a problem with that, hard luck. So, why did I just show you that? Well, here what happened now. Listen to what Rohan Sinanan, right, a man who is experienced in lying, listen to what he has to say now.
Now, Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan says the UNC is playing politics by protesting roads which are already scheduled to be refurbished. He was responding to Couva South MP Rujanath Indar Singh, who staged a protest on Monday, joined by several activists protesting the deplorable state of the Camden Road in Couva. Sinanan said the Works and Transport Ministry was not responsible for that road and that the Couva Tabakit Regional Corporation was, and they did nothing with that road for years. Sinanan said the Regional Corporation did have the funds for renovations, but they were often returned unspent.
Rudy Indar Singh is complaining about that road, that Camden Road there. Rudy Indar Singh knows fully well, because he had raised it in Parliament and on another occasion, that road falls under the purview of the Couva Tabakit Power Regional Corporation, where he has full control of. The UNC has full control of that.
Sinanan added that the road under the Ministry of Works is about to be started, but noted that...
Okay, so let us break that down a little bit. According to Rohan Sinanan, and by the way, I don't often agree with him. In fact, I can't remember if there was ever a time I agree with him. But here what happened. Imagine Rudy Indar Singh going to protest about a road that is in a deplorable state, and Rudy Indar Singh belongs to the same party who is in charge of that road, and who, according to statistics and facts, does give back plenty money at the end of the year. Not all the money is spent. Now, if that is not the height of stupidity, I don't know what is. You should be protesting yourself. Rudy Indar Singh should have a photograph with a banner that he is protesting against himself, because how could a member of parliament, right? You have oversight. You could ask for any document. You know when things are happening and when it is not happening. The road is scheduled to be repaired under who? And who is in charge? But yet it is, you come with this whole story now. This is what I tell you, on both sides, all you want me to support this dotishness. And I continue to say, when you break it down, right, on the UNC side, you have only yes people. People who are there who will say yes to anything because Kamala put them there, and they will say yes because they want to protect. Barry used to carry purse. Now look at Barry. Barry with all the makeup and everything, Barry have big Sawati position. You think if Kamala not there, Barry will still hold post? You think Khadija Amin will still hold post? You think the others like Rodney Charles will still hold post? Of course not. So those people have to hold on there. Tank and all them fellas and them. They have to hold on. They have to relax themselves. Because if they open their mouth, it's pressure. But let's run through some of the things that I have to run through tonight so that at 8:30, I have a guest in studio. So in the next 14 minutes, I will have to move like lightning. Let me just welcome RPM to this segment. And of course, rewind that background, guys. Let me just thank our good friends at Neil Chairs for sponsoring this segment. And again, for those of you with all your Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar, Volvo, well, if all you like me, all you need Range Rover parts, because Range Rover is one vehicle. Here what's happening. The only thing more sour than a Range Rover is lime. Right? So if you have a Range Rover, for sure, give them a call, because I know you will need parts. Because that is a vehicle that is called for endless parts. Whether it's semi-new, 3 years old, 5 years old, here what's happening. That and a rubbish truck is the same thing. Well, the right people own Range Rover now, which is Tata, because that is exactly what a Range Rover is. Right? But call them, they will settle you out with genuine parts, replacement parts, you name it. Give them a call and they will organize. All right, so let's go to RPM. Let's, of course, welcome our good friends RPM Express. And if you ship from Miami to Trinidad and Tobago, this is the company that you go for, whether it be small packages or big packages. Give them a call at 2244 RPM, or you can check them out online, rpmexpresscouriers.com. Right, let's run through our slides, guys. Right, okay, our shipment came in. Right, finally. I know it's the hardest, boy. The container had a hole in it. And some of our stock got wet. So, but what happened is that this Saturday, I'm moving like a piper. So this Saturday, bamboo number 2, literally thousands of tools and accessories. This Saturday in bamboo number 2, join us here at Rock from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Check on Facebook because you'll be seeing everything posted up. Right? So let's go again, guys. This young lady, I would like to thank this young lady. In fact, she and the boss man and boss lady came today and she walked with her donation, right, to pay for our good friend Andy Rizal, right, to add to the funds. And guys, we have a slide with the figure that we're looking at. Right. We got just over 300,000 pledged. And so far, you have dropped off, and that is less than a week, you have dropped off $235,200. So for those of you who pledged and you did not come and paid your due, please, Friday evening 4 p.m. is cut off. I am not taking it any longer because we have other cases that we would need to handle. So I am appealing to all those of you who did not get a chance to commit to your pledge, please arrange to do so before Friday, 4 p.m. Remember, guys, could we get the bank account information, please? And this is, of course, for Andy Rizal, who needs a liver transplant, and it is to be done at West Shore. Approximate cost of the surgery is $400,000. So thank you so much. I mean, in 90 minutes, we got your pledges of just about $300,000. The bank information for Baraka Foundation. Right. Could we make it a little bigger so some people who don't have a 55-inch TV could see the numbers clearly? Right, so let's pull up that lower third a little bigger now. All right, good. All right, so the account number excellent, 007400017868. It's a checking account at JMB, and you could send the funds from any bank, whether it be Republic, Royal, Scotia, you name it. I don't know why, for some reason, this gentleman has a very close relationship with Royal. I will leave that right there. Right? Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Anyway, let's run through the slides, guys. Good. Bamboo number 2. Again, could we just zoom into that number plate, please? Right. This whole road is no parking, eh? This whole road. And it continues. The stupidity abounds. Let's go again, guys. Right. Look, my friend with the high. Watch where he parked now, man. This is what I tell you. Yayan is come in all shapes and forms, you know. Right? My boy park and he gone here. So he walking like cowboy exit. He ain't care where he park, you know, man. And check how his wheel turn. Somebody should pass and break out the whole joint. Stupidity again. All right, let's go. Any tourists just go to Maracas and Tyrico. I passed through Tyrico this weekend, and boy, let me tell you something. Nothing has changed. In fact, this whole place, it's just a matter of time before this whole thing falls apart. This is what you have to pass through with your car. And then Don Quixote want to build $50 million velodrome in Palaseco. We can't maintain what we have right now, you know. Everything fall apart. If you look at every stadium in this country, it's falling apart. But they want to go and build new one. For what? For donkey to run? Watch this.
So this is the accident again. Road.
Yes.
Could not see it. Full of water, and it wasn't as big. It was probably half that size before I went inside.
Right.
So it just caved in as I went in.
And that little damage there, that so-called little damage, is bumper.
Yep.
Bumper clip. It could be cradle. It could be
third one.
joint.
Third one for the day.
It could be rim.
With regards to this work, the work they do in this
representatives
whole
of that area would still go around with a big truck. And by the way, if you watch this carefully, it looks as if pipes were laid and an area caved in.
Right.
Does that look accurate, sir? It looks like if pipes were, and even the pitch, right? If you look at that area, it looks as if pipes were laid and the area caved in. You see how it full with water too? That is an extra. But that is Trinidad, and that is where we're voting for, and that is where we're fighting for, and that is where we call in the radio station like a bunch of dunce. I supporting Rowley, I supporting Kamala, and they care about all. Look, for example, what took place in South. And I continue, not only South, Siparia, Debe, all over, all they getting flood and will vote for the same thing again. And if that is not the height of stupidity, I don't know what is. But they'll continue. Let's go again, guys. This is bamboo number 2. I highlighted this about 3 to 4 weeks ago. The ministry and their entire entourage came and saw this. A man blocked up on Mohan Street, blocked up about an acre land, and it is on the riverbank there too. On the riverbank, you know. Right? And man, he put a post, now he put a wire. When I tell you people go dotish, I ain't joking, you know, boy. I really don't know where these people, I don't see how much people going down every day and that announcement being made. Would they take him with them, boy? Let's go again, guys. Moving with speed now. Yeah, whatever slides. Good. Rural Development and Local Government Minister Faris Al-Rawi confirmed that cleanup crews, including works from CPEP, were out and about on Sunday, helping some of the people badly affected by the major flood on Saturday. The floods, described by some as historic, came after several hours of heavy rainfall. This caused the Sipero River to overflow its bank, and amongst the places affected was Naparima Bowl. Well, it's time that the bowl actually full. It's the first time, right? And check my boy now. Check my boy, right? Check my boy. Go on in mud and watch what he wear now, man. One was on the pants as usual, tight from the knee down, so he can't even bend his knee properly, right? And this is your Minister of Local Government. A man who gone from being Attorney General to watching drain clean, right? This is, he family should be proud. You understand, boy? I would leave that work so fast, eh? Take a look at this.
Yeah.
Last house at the back.
Last 2 houses.
Last 2 houses. Yes.
Shoes looking nice.
Nico.
Guys, let me get 2 seconds. Those that hit here for the first time in 20 years this high. It's a significant amount. You have the Sipero River literally just on the side of us here. I want you to recall, because I see my friend Jayanti out on the road there, who will not even say hello. This is why we were having discussions about building housing in San Fernando in places including Todd Street development. The US.
First thing he does is blame the opposition. That is all they good for, you know. Blame the opposition. The same houses that are being built all over, and those houses didn't appear overnight. And we had record rainfall in December, but there was no flooding. But all of a sudden, you had 10 feet of water in one area. 10 feet of water in Odred, in one area. And all of a sudden, that house that person put 20 years ago, that is to blame. Not all the work going on by King's Wharf, or all the diverting of rivers, the rivers being diverted left, right, and center, or the crooked conmen contractors who they are paying millions of dollars for to do dredging work. And they are not doing a proper job at all. That ain't to blame for nothing. But the opposition is to blame. And this is what you call the height of stupidity. Let's go again, guys. Let me just welcome our good friends, Homa True Value. And of course, Homa True Value, as I said before, that place real suck. Because they carry endless vacuum. Vacuum like that, from cordless to stand up, to sit down, to steer vacuum, to break apart, you name it, to light suction, to heavy suction, and the different brands, VacMaster, ShopVac, Stanley, Dirt Devil, Shark, you name it, and of course, Bissell. Give them a call. They're right in San Juan, 638-3722. Let me just say a special hello to Mr. and Mrs. Pillai, the bosses. Let's go again, guys. Right. San Fernando Mayor Junior Regrello spoke of water cascading down the northern and southern sides of the San Fernando Hill. Well, I have never heard of water actually going up that hill before. So I don't know if he thinks it is miraculous to see water cascading down the San Fernando Hill. That has been so since that hill was born. And we could check, whoever have the video. Let's go, let's read the notice he say now. Regrello said the situation could have been worse had the corporation not engaged in a cleanup exercise and collection of bulk waste several weeks ago. Okay, come back to me. See, this is what has happened. As I said before, we had no choice in who put he there, you know. But this is the kind of tripe that I must read coming from a mayor. That is the type of dotishness. That if they didn't do cleanup, and what, you know what's like about these fellas and them? They have no statistics, none to show, look, if we didn't do that, this would have happened. And Rohan is famous for doing that dotishness too as well. And you know, Trinidad is one of the only countries, rivers are dredged and desilted, and you don't know what was removed, how much tonnage of material was removed. All you know that? We don't know if 5 truckload, where it went, who house it went by, who business place it went by, who backfilling the property, how many of them selling. It have contractors selling loads of dirt from the riverbank for $300 a load. And in some cases, they are making millions of dollars by thieving material from the riverbank. And what I'm telling you is not no ifs, ands, or buts. It's fact. I got it with my drone. Let's go again, guys. I have 2 minutes to wrap up this segment. Yeah, run that.
Live here in Kunupe area, welcome area, right? Now they're doing some work on the river here. And all you help me understand what it is that they're actually doing here. If it's just grass work or if they're actually cleaning this river. Because look at the banks of this river and you're just lost for words because who does do these kind of work, boy? You understand who's supervising these works? Who's checking on these work, right? You ask yourself what it is that they're really doing here because you're seeing no kind of drenching, you're seeing no silt, nothing take up from the bottom of the riverbed or anything. Look good and let you watch good. There's only one set of grass that the root out from the riverbank and dies about it, right? Now watch good there.
Nothing new. And I said it before. The ACIB needs to go into Pure, lock down the whole of Pure, grab documents, and question some of them engineers and them inside there. Not only there, in the Ministry of Works too as well. Because some of them fellas and them collecting big money in bribes. I ain't talking about small money, you know. Huge money to pass 1-inch thick. And you know what is the sad thing, boy, about some of these engineers? You know what is the sad thing, boy? Their same children are the ones who will not benefit from the wealth of this country by them allowing contractors to steal us blind. But apparently they don't have a problem with that. Let's go again, guys. This is the man that allegedly drove the vehicle on the bus route. It is alleged that he was driving intoxicated, driving reckless without permission. He drove a vehicle on the bus route, and the vehicle was allegedly without insurance. Allegedly. And this is what they say the gentleman looks like. And of course, the next photo, right? We have a photo of the, right. There was, all right. I don't know if I loaded that up, but there was a photo of the mother that was killed on that PBR crash. Now, to me, it is the norm. It is the norm for people to be using the bus route. And then it is the norm for this nonsense to continue. Because here happening, how many crashes we have had and nothing ever take place. Like, for example, the man that run into the container in Bamboo. Up to now, customs has not said one word on that. But I noticed one thing. If containers were coming up, if containers, and tell me if I'm making sense, please. If containers were seen in Bamboo in a certain area every week, and then all of a sudden now, since that crash, not one container on that spot, what does that tell you? Doesn't it tell you that somebody now recognized that the container should not have been there? But like I said, we chop it bad. All right, so yeah, we'll run through that fast. Let me just welcome Automax Lavender Disinfectant. And you know, we'd like to thank Automax. What happened is that recently we got their products here at IBN here. And you know, you see these big 5-liter things that they're selling all over. It's like coloring and water. The thing, you have to beg it to get a smell. The label have more smell than what is inside the bottle. Right? So I would like to thank them for producing a quality product. Because quite frankly, some of these products that it have outside there, you pour it out, as soon as you hold the bottle, the whole thing just drop out. It ain't flowing a little slow to say it itself, that you could dilute it. I don't know, some people really get away doing business in this place, you know. Let's go again, guys. Let's run too fast. A 20-year-old man was robbed of his car while listening to music nearby on Tuesday night. Nothing new. Nothing new. It's only $150 million in cars stolen. When we reach $500 million, then we'll have something to worry about. Let's go again. Ah, look my boy there, man. Yes, look my boy from Ghana. And you know where's the hardest boy? I have two citizens of Ghana who have been in Trinidad and Tobago that work for me. And they say that this man, right? This man here swims in wealth and gold. Now watch what he have on our breasts. Watch what he have on our man. I don't know if he does get hasuli and nara and all kind of thing with that. Look at the weight. I watching that and my belly hurting me. The man have it for me head, and even the slippers that the man have on too. It on his slippers, you know. Anyway, pull back up that photo. I just want to pull back up the other one. Asante King song warning, freedom to wallow in poverty is not emancipation. Look at poverty that this man do have. Watch him ring on the money fingers now, man. Watch the ring. And 25% of Ghana living on less than $2 US a day. And this man come Trinidad to talk about poverty. Brother man, your own country suffering. Your country corrupt to the core. And you can now just give X for, you know. We bring in people, and this is according to him, I think it's Ashati King or whatever. Anyway, freedom to wallow in poverty cannot be true emancipation, but yet it is a large segment of his population suffering. The king had two suggestions. Firstly, that African leaders pursue a new universal declaration that racial discrimination be deemed a crime against humanity. Come back to me. I have filed a Freedom of Information Act request to show what was done for Indian Arrival Day, and Arrival Day, and what was done for Emancipation Day. So we will see if there is any disparity in what was spent through the Prime Minister's office and through the Culture Ministry. So we will clarify that. And as for discrimination in this country, let me tell you something. If Indian people go and light a fire on the road tomorrow, Rohan Sinanan landing with a helicopter and providing a bill. On the other side, you have people who could protest, burn the road, block the street, bust your windscreen, cuss you about your mother, and the police can say, well, all right, nobody break the law here, I'll fix up. We have a lot of discrimination through the police service, through the arms of national security and otherwise. I have seen it. That is why my company, it's one of the discrimination is one of the reasons why we don't do the work for the police service anymore. And in fact, that will come out in our legal action, which we have taken against the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, which is due to come up in court shortly. All right, so we have already gone through the pre-action protocol process. Let's go again, guys, final. Okay, come back to me. Again, and that is part of the problem. everywhere I turn in this country, I see young men and young women drinking their life away. Drinking their life away, you know, and I talk to so many young women whose husbands go out and come 1 o'clock in the morning and don't provide for them and the children. And this thing is breaking down family life while Angostura whining to the left and whining to the right. Not only that, I said it before, that we have so many senior officers who own bars in St. Helena, in Warren, all over. Not a dollar in taxes. All these fellas are working for the state and let them account for what is taking place. Not a dollar. And all that money earning with illegal immigrants too as well. So here what happening. We got to talk about them things later on, because those things, that are really important. We have other important issues to talk about. And as I end this segment and take a break, I just want to tell you this, that we have 2 weeks to make up our minds about what we are going to do or what we are not going to do. As I said before, there are choices that we can make that could determine if we get a better country or not. If we continue to vote in the same thing, what sense does it make that we even bother to even ask for a better country? Because as I said before, ad nauseum, is that we keep doing the nonsense again and again and again. And I drew examples about bamboo. In bamboo, if we didn't fix the road, all now every week 2-3 people rim bend. If we didn't see about our drains, pressure, last week I showed pictures of the amount of rats, 18 rats fetting outside by the garbage bin. 18 rats, we have a rat infestation. I had to pay for pest control. I buy a fogger, the fogger is about, what's that about? I can't remember the price of that. But one of those big foggers at the ministry, I had to be careful how I say these words, right? One of those big machines. I buy one of that for mosquito control in bamboo. We take it on the van and we spray all over the village. So what it is, we have a councillor in the area to do what? To represent what? Everything. Look, for example, street light. Everybody calling me the street light not working. Who it is doing all the work inside there is villagers. We have traffic inside there 20 years now. Today, I spoke to Officer Dinoon, Sergeant Dinoon from St. Joseph. We have a meeting coming up soon to deal with this once and for all, because enough is enough. 20 years of the stupidity must stop. Right? It's either you get your act together or shut down your business. I tell you here happening, the only reason I will get into government is to deal with some of these stupid people, you know. Anyway, time for me to take a break. Remember where you're watching Rick and Marius right here on IBN Channel 8. We are coming back with a special guest. I would like to thank Automax for sponsoring this segment. We'll be back right after this.
No more games. You always break the table when you lose. Promise? 4110 Jigsaw. Watch it. Don't you dare. Ronix.
Welcome to the home of Pure Oxygen Spring Water. A breathtaking 1,000 feet above sea level, where the elements collide. In an area of outstanding natural beauty. This land, our land, embodies nature, and our methods respect it. We use clean energy, solar, hydro, wind, to bring you the cleanest water. Every drop, sustainably sourced from pristine Cornish farmland. From the raw beauty of rainfall to our state-of-the-art bottling facility. situated on an ancient underground lake. We're reminded of the timeless power of pure water. But it doesn't stop here. The secret of cure lies in the pure oxygen we so carefully infuse. To breathe life into every bottle of pure water, without chemicals or additives. Cure pushes the boundaries of what water can do, uniting life's most essential ingredients: water and oxygen. The next generation of hydration. Pure oxygen, nature's ultimate water.
Mitsu Air Limited, authorized Mitsubishi air conditioning dealer. No need to replace your air conditioning units ever so often. Split units, cassette, ductable, CTVIF systems, and much more. Mitsubishi Electric has long been powering industries and providing solutions for healthy living. Mitsu Air Limited boasts the industry's first 10-year warranty on all parts and labor. Inverter units are also available. Don't hear it, just feel it. Mitsu Air Limited, 246 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. Give us a call at 674-4000 or 675-4000 or email us at mitsu.limited@gmail.com.
All right, and welcome back, my friends. Of course, you're watching Breaking Barriers right here, and it's not often I sit down, but let me just welcome my good friends, Mitsu Air. And of course, as I've always said, Mitsu Air Condition, they carry the Mitsubishi line. And do a little research. Just go into Mitsubishi Air Condition and search what is the #1 air condition system in Japan, and you will see Mitsubishi. And they're the only company that offers a 10-year warranty, parts and labor. In fact, we didn't even come with that. And when I say parts and labor, I'm not talking about after a year they run from you. This company stands by what they sell. They stand by what they sell, and the owner of the company, I know him personally, he's a man of integrity. He may not be a man of looks, but he is a man of integrity, similar to what my wife just told me. Right? So check them out, give them a call, and remember, all their units are inverter units. So if you have a commercial building you're building, don't go and put something that will burn down your place, you know what I mean? Walk up something good. Anyway, tonight, not often I do this. In fact, I don't do this at all. But because of where we have reached with the politics in Trinidad and Tobago, and because, you know, I have become so disenchanted with the politics and where we're going, I decided to invite a gentleman whom I have the greatest of respect for. In fact, I've known him for, I believe, over 15, 20 years now. In fact, he and I shared similar hairstyles. It's just mine overtook his a while ago. Vasant Bar. Vasant, pleasure to have you on the...
My pleasure to be here.
Right, so, you know, one of the things that I never asked, before we get into the whole discussion, I never really asked you about, I know your father, your father was close to me at one point in regards to my company doing work for him in Valbach with his dental business, and you know, I had the greatest of respect for him because at that point in time I was new to the whole industry, and what I admired about him is that he gave me a chance, and you know, he realized that, you know, even with all my strippiness and dotishness, I was able to do what I said. But I want to just get a little history into you and the family, because you know, I've never asked, and I don't think anybody has ever asked about, do you have any brothers and sisters, and where are they, and are they involved in the issues in Trinidad and Tobago, or are they abroad? And give us a little family background.
One brother and 2 sisters. The elder of the 2 sisters lives here in Trinidad. She is married to Sham Siram. Yes. She's predominantly a housewife, brought up the children and so on. My brother worked, he's just retired, he worked for Microsoft in the UK for about 20 years. And then the youngest of the 4 of us is my sister. She also lives in England.
So then he should be familiar with a 286 and a 386. You remember those days?
Yes, of course.
He had the 286, the 386.
Yeah.
And was it Windows, 95? So
that's right.
So give us a little history into yourself. How did you get into politics? Your father, you know, is it coming down from that? Give us a little background.
You will remember that my father was a member of parliament from 1966 to 1971. That was during the era of Capileo and Badis and so on. And he fought the St. Augustine seat against Buddies in 1966. Buddies had his own party called the PDP, the People's Democratic Party. And a famous incident happened during that election campaign where my father was campaigning in Frederick Settlement. And both he and Buddies had the same car, but my father's was black, Buddies' was red. It was a Dodge Polara. So those were the only two in Trinidad. So anytime anybody saw those cars, they knew either Buddies was there with the red one or my father was there with the black one. So my father was campaigning in Frederick Settlement. And he said to my uncle one night, he said, listen, you take the car home, I'll come up later. And as he came through the Caroni Bridge, the Pulul brothers shot my uncle, thinking it was my father, because it was a contract, Buddies had taken a contract out to kill my father. And he shot my uncle. But in those days, you remember, they didn't have air conditioning in cars and so on. So most people used to drive with their arms
yes.
on the door sill, like this, right?
Yes.
And the bullet hit him here and came through here. Didn't kill him. But the news went around that Dr. Barrett had been killed. And of course, in those days, you had no cell phones and so on, right? So by the time he actually got home about 11 o'clock that night, the entire media was at our house in St. Augustine, thinking that he had been shot. My mother didn't know whether or not that was what had happened to him and so on. So those were the one of the incidents that took place during that time. And then, of course, my father was involved in the No Vote campaign in 1971. When the PNM attempted to, Dr. Williams attempted to bring in place the voting machines. And if you remember, the DLP then had a no vote campamping.
I was very young. I was in diapers.
As a direct result, of that no vote campaign, the voting machines were scrapped because there were allegations that it could have been fixed and tampered with and all those different things. So coming back to your no vote campaign, it does help. It can help to restore a level of democracy and a level of calm and different things, and in terms of what's right for the country and so on. So
no, well, one of the things I'll tell you is that I have been blamed for putting this government in power and for putting that government in power.
Well, rightly so.
I have been commended by prime ministers. I remember in 2010, Kamala personally held my hand and took me down the stage, and she whispered in my ear, "Thank you so much for the support from you and your community and for making us successful in this election." And a huge amount of people, strangely enough, a huge amount of people would see me and say, "Boy, you gonna make me vote X, Y, and Z." And one is that I take my licks where it is, but many people don't know this, Vasant. Maybe you do or you don't. One of the floating votes that you have, group of votes that you have in this country is the Muslim vote. The Muslim community is not long time. You could have said they were tied down to the Mohammedville clan.
Of course, yeah.
But that is no more. And what happened is that the Muslim vote is actually the floating vote right now. And we vote a lot on issues. And one of the issues is that when you look at the politics of today, yes, it is you vote the lesser of the two evils. But when you have two evils that you can't even compare or you cannot make a fair comparison with, then what do you do? But coming back to you, and then we'll delve a little more into the whole politics of what is going on. So your father, and it's the first time I'm actually hearing about that incident.
Yeah, eventually two of the boys committed suicide because they failed to have killed him. So they committed suicide, they drank poison. So, but anyway,
your voodoo strong.
Anyway, to cut a long story, so when we grew up, we went to school in England, and I was never really interested in politics, simply because my mother shielded us from it because of the traumatic incident that took place. And then my mother was a very reserved kind of person. She always wanted to be a brick in the wall. She didn't want to be John Barrett's wife, going here and going there and being seen. And she just wanted to be at home. She wanted to bring up the children and so on. So she was very happy to take us away and take us to London to school. And I was never really interested. I grew up in England. I went to university, of course. I came back to Trinidad. And it was always my intention to come back to Trinidad. I never felt that I could make England my home. I just always felt I wanted to be here. I never felt that I wanted to get involved in politics because it wasn't something that I aspired to. I always wanted to work in the corporate world. And so I came back to Trinidad. after having worked in England for about 5 years after I qualified.
What field? What field? Same,
I'm a chartered accountant. Yeah, I qualified as a chartered accountant. Came back. I worked with one of the largest reinsurance companies in the world called Alexander Houghton. I became the chief accountant. Came back to Trinidad. Took up a job as financial director with John Dickinson in Diego Martin.
Yes.
And didn't last long because I was approached by the Agostini Group to run a startup company they had in El Socorro that was a joint venture between Procter & Gamble and the Agostini Group to make baby diapers called Cheekies.
Yes.
You remember Cheekies diapers,
yes.
right? In fact, it was a startup company. When I walked in there were 7 employees.
Right.
And when I left 10 years later, we were turning over about $50 million, and we had about 120 employees. We were the first diaper company in the world to make blue diapers for boys and pink diapers for girls. It was quite a...
But then they also had Teddy's.
Teddy's came afterwards.
And that was
Afzal
Juman. And he sold that company too as well.
Yes, he sold it to Huggies.
Yeah,
he sold it to Huggies. And then from there, well, of course, I went to National Flour Mills, CEO of National Flour Mills. And then, well, of course, you know the incident that took place there.
Yes.
My services were terminated. I then went back to London, and I became the European General Manager of Thomas Cook, the largest airline company in the world, right? And at that point, I was in charge of the entire foreign exchange as well as airline business. We had over 1,000 bureau de change across Europe. In fact, at that time, Thomas Cook was the first company in the world to establish a website for commercial foreign exchange. So they were ahead of its time. Subsequent to that, I moved up to London and became head of global marketing with Gulf Oil. So I was in charge of the operations of 55 countries for Gulf Oil. And but I always wanted to come back to Trinidad. I always felt I wanted to come back. But during that time, whilst I was at Gulf Oil, Basti Pandey made several trips to London. And on one of those trips, he came to see me. And he had a similar discussion with me as I think Chankar Maharaj had with him, I think it's Chankar Maharaj, when he was on his way to India to pick up his scholarship. And that was, how much more money you will make, why don't you come back to Trinidad and help? And the opportunity came to me when Nutrimix Flour Mills was floundering. And Shahid Mohammed called me and asked me, would I come and help? And we built Nutrimix Flour Mills from the ground up. Country Pride Flour was a no-name brand, really. We built it from the ground up in 18 months. And we took 40% market share from NFM in 18 months.
Well, I could attest to the fact that that gentleman, I had personal dealings with that gentleman. And honestly, he reminds me a lot of you.
We were born on the same day, 6th of March.
Okay, well, there are some records for him, right? But 6th of March.
6th of March.
Right, which is just 9 days away from me, right? So I have had dealings with that gentleman, and all I can say is I have the greatest of respect for him.
But he's passed away now, right? You know that.
No, it's the father.
The father, yeah.
Not, well,
Ronnie, of course.
Yeah, Ronnie, yeah.
Ronnie runs the organization now. And then I'll tell you, when I became, well, what happened was I was not interested in getting involved in politics, quite frankly. But Mr. Pandey insisted when Winston Dukaran left the party and formed the COP, I was living in St. Augustine, and Mr. Pandey said to me, he said, Vas, you're living in St. Augustine, why don't you just monitor the seat and liaise and so on for us? I said, okay, fine, no problem. I was living here alone. My wife was still in England with the children. And so every Saturday for an entire year, I walked the constituency. And what that did was, I'm talking about from about 10 to 6 every single Saturday for a year. I walked the entire constituency. I had walked the constituency 4 times. Before the election was called. So when the election was called, he said to me, Vaz, you're the only person you could, I said to you, if I'm not interested in politics, I'm happy to work in the background and help you. He said, no, you're the best person. Well, of course, the rest is history. We got into opposition. Mr. Dukaran fought against, Winston fought against me in that 2007 election. You were part of that election.
Yes,
campaign.
yes, I remember.
Yeah, right. We won. One thing that election taught me is never believe what people tell you when they speak to you, because everybody I spoke to,
we
supported UNC. We supported UNC. And I won by the slimmest of margins. I only won by about 700 votes. And it was only because I'd walked the constituency 4 times. Had I not done that, had I been a new candidate, I would not have done that. But I'll tell you something. Those 3 years that I was Member of Parliament for St. Augustine were the most fulfilling for me, because what I did was I resigned my job as CEO of Nutrimix, which I didn't have to, of course. As you know, when you're in opposition, you could have a full-time job as well as be a member of the opposition. I resigned my position as CEO of Nutrimix Flour Mills, and I became a full-time opposition member. So I was in my constituency office 6 days a week. In fact, my staff and people who are in Bamboo here will tell you, my routine for the day was I go to my office from 8 till 12, and then from 12 till 5 I visit the constituency every single day.
I remember there was a flood in Bamboo, and Prakash was on the truck and we were on the ground.
That's right. We were under the house and helping people with the beds, and water was up to here.
No, but Vasant, you know, even in those days, what I used to do, and I have always been asked to get involved in politics, and it's something that, honestly, my type A personality does not allow for me to sit down and listen to somebody talk.
You see, because this, I listened to what you were talking earlier on. The reality is that the system is completely broken. It's completely broken. You cannot fix it with the people who are there currently. That's a fact, either side. It's rotten to the core. The system is rotten to the core. And as a direct result, the public is shortchanged, because I believe, honestly, that the the systems that are served by public servants to the country are operating maybe at about 30% effectiveness, if that.
If so much.
If that, okay? So you have significant amount of waste. You have it, and it's in every organization. It's in license office. It's in the Commissioner of State Lands office. It's in the NIB. It's across the board. Wherever services have to be delivered to people. Do you know what I used to do when I was Member of Parliament? Okay, and there'll be many elderly people in this area who'll tell you. They would go to the Tunapuna welfare office, right? And they'd get bandied about. No, come back tomorrow, come back next week, come back. And they're old people, of course, right? Most of them, unfortunately, can't read and write. I started accompanying these people, pulling the chair, sitting on the chair with them, and waiting to be seen. Because I know once they see the Member of Parliament, they will take the necessary action. Until it became normalized. And then after me, I used to send Kathy and my thing, and I used to send my driver also. So it became a thing that, okay, the MP office or the MP's representative is here. So until it became a culture that when they saw somebody who came from the St. Augustine office, they knew damn well they had to deal with the person appropriately. But unless you sit on it, and unless you are focused and you are intent on making it happen, it won't happen. You talked about getting streetlights on people. Up to recently, I got streetlights for people in Mohammed Street in Bamboo number 2. Right? Because the MP, they haven't heard from the MP.
Bamboo number 2?
Yeah, number 2.
We are number 2.
Oh, well, one then. Where Grand Bazaar is?
That is number 3.
That's number 3, okay.
You see, you forget.
I forget that. Number 3.
Old age. I want to know. I want to know where Mohammed Street is in this village.
Yeah, Mohammed Street. Yeah, you know, because they reached out to the MP, they reached out to their councillor, nothing. They called me, and I was able to get street lighting for them on Mohammed Street.
Good. I'm glad you're touching on this.
This is out of politics, eh? This is me out of politics.
No, but
I'm just telling you.
And this is this. I mean, coming back to what you had written about that MP for St. Augustine now, and we leave that as history. But why is it? And I'll use the example of December 2022. In December 2022, the end of November, we saw the worst flood that Bamboo ever had. Myself and villagers were able to put things in place. Boats came, people donated pumps, and the ministries were nowhere wrong. The councillor was nowhere wrong. The MP was nowhere wrong. People were literally drowning in their homes. We were the ones doing everything.
But you know why? They don't need to take responsibility for anything because they know damn well when election comes, you're voting for the same people again.
And that is exactly my point.
So what is the necessity for them to get out of bed to do anything?
But
right?
why are we so naive? Hassan, why would people support failure? Seeing that we have, I mean, it is in front of us. This is something that we cannot hide. I have a BMW 3 Series car, my daughter's car. And 2 times I changed tires in Bamboo and repaired rims. And what I'm saying as God is my witness. We decided, I called Kusala, say, listen, I don't want it free because you are one of the companies that the government hates because you are a principled man. I told him that. I said, you don't believe in the kickback syndrome, right? People like Kusals and Siriram, you don't see these people getting contracts. You see the others, the people who Rowley had considered corrupt, getting the contracts now, and they will pave a road and will fall apart. But I contacted Kusal. I said, I don't want it free. I would like to purchase a load. And we purchased a load of hot mix. And villagers went out there, and we got a steamroller borrowed. I drove the steamroller, and you would not believe we fixed the road better than the ministry.
Well, I'll give you an example. When I was the Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, there's a street called Warner Street that connects from Tunapuna Hindu School, coming around in the back there, that leads you out to the Caroni Bridge. That is a road out there called Warner Street. And it was a shortcut to get out from the highway to the bridge.
Right.
So that road must be about maybe a mile and a half, about a mile long. But it was like a racing track for most people because a one straight road, and it's zooming down. And there were this is by the railway line, right? And people are living on both sides, children running out. So we begged to get speed bumps put in. They never did. Eventually, I got the stuff they use, the hot mix, and the villagers and I, and it was mostly women, right? We went and we put down 4 speed bumps. That was in 2008. Those speed bumps are still there. Drive on Warner Street, you'll see those speed bumps there. The people on the line never had water. They lived there for 40 years without water, right? One day I said, you know what? I'm going to help you guys put them out of my own pocket. We bought lines, we bought fittings, we were there. And for the first time in 40 years, you talk to the people on the line today. We ran water from the road, an illegal connection, mind you, yes. But we ran water, we had no choice, right? For maybe about 300 or 400 yards right to the end of the town. If we took pictures of children bathing in a standpipe for the first time because they always had to tote water on their head. I talk about 10 years ago.
Imagine that.
Tote water on their head for 300 yards. All of those, we put pipes, there must be about 20 pipes, sandpipes all the way up on either side. We took pictures of little children. It was like it was Christmas for them, right?
Well, imagine we now have to sue USA for discrimination. Discrimination. Imagine that. We applied in 2015 for a connection at Baraka Grounds. 2015, Vasant. We had to write them through the Freedom of Information Act recently to get documents, which showed my application since 2015. And what they are telling us now is that they're willing to do the connection if I pay for the infrastructure.
Oh.
Right? So I must now pay for the infrastructure. But the contractors who lay down 10 feet of pipe and charge for 20 feet, the billions of dollars in pipe all over this country that rotten, who paid for that? All the corrupt contractors, which this chairman, right, who's my attorney and my friend as well, he had exposed some of this in the past. And those were contractors that robbed this country blind. But you telling me that a tax-paying citizen, and by the way, that ground has now grown, and you were one of those persons who assisted in us in acquiring those grounds. And we host the biggest events for the Muslim community. And in fact, it acts as a car park for the Hindu community as well. And you're telling me, after 8 years, we have a 3/4-inch line, and we just have to buy water every single week.
So you come back to asking the question of why. The issue is
I can tell you why, if I may just interject. The chairman made it clear that his hands are tied. Managers are stating that the politicians said pull brakes on that, don't give him no water because of him out. So imagine that.
Yeah.
Punishing a community. And that's what I tell you, members of my Muslim community who go in and vote for these devils and them, all your special, you know.
But that is why this is why this system is broken. Because politicians have, and they like it like this, because of course they can wield the kind of power that they do. When Jack Warner won the Shogunas West seat in 2013 against the UNC, the first thing that happened in cabinet was no more resources for Shogunas West. That was the first decision that was taken. No more resources for Shogunas West. That was to punish Jack, but how many thousands of people are you going to punish as a direct result? And so we have become a society that is not only hypocritical, but we are dishonest, we're deceitful. We've lost almost all sense of shame, right? We don't take responsibility for failure. We don't accept blame for things that we've done that's wrong. Whatever is right and wrong at the time is whatever is convenient. That is who we've become. That's our society. And we're looking at our leaders who are practicing this, right? And young children are looking on, and they will obviously think, well, it's okay. How could you, a good example is, Jack is innocent until proven guilty, right? Wasn't it the same Jack in 2013 who you humiliated and fired? Jack came to me and he told me, he said, listen, Vas, I offered to resign, you know. She refused the resignation, but fired him the next day to humiliate him. That's the same Jack who gone back there. Your partner, Gary.
No, but I told Gary, and let us face facts, because, you know, you and I, we have no issues. We have no problem stating the obvious facts. The US could come tomorrow. Now, Jack Warner, when it comes to the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, I saw this man take millions of dollars out of his own pocket and did a lot for communities. But let us face facts.
And Jack is my friend, I say that.
Exactly.
And I like Jack.
Tomorrow,
he's a big heart.
Tomorrow the US could come. And what happens?
Yeah. So I'm saying, it's the hypocrisy of it all, that in 10 years ago, you fired the man, you humiliated the man.
Yes, correct.
You tell him go and clear his name. But because you're now desperate, you will do and say anything.
Yeah, but
that's the point.
Who is the MND? They have partnered with the MND. The MND is nobody. The MND stands for making no difference, right? The MND is one man, Gavin Nicholas, and I don't know if his wife is part of it too, but you boasting about your join with the MND. And I mean, I'm confused. And Gary, let me tell you something. Gary was given the seats that the UNC don't normally win.
Yeah.
He was given the seats which they don't normally win. In other words, it was a COP deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah. But, you know, the issue I have is celebrating mediocrity, supporting laziness, supporting incompetence. And I say this for a reason. The UNC has had 13 years to build this organization since Mrs. Bissessa became leader of this party, right? 13 years, she'd be leader since 2010. These are the facts. This is not something personal. These are the facts.
Right? Correct.
13 years ago, the party was 17 or 18 years old. Today, it's 31 years or 32 years old. One would have thought that, first of all, you're in government for 5 years, and so therefore, you have the ability through the resources that will come your way being in government to really build a strong base, a strong party, build out your party groups, build your constituency executives, you know, create an organization that is sustainable, not just a pickup side for when the election bell rings.
And that is exactly what's going on.
So now, 13 years later, you have now retreated from Tobago. You're no longer a national. You're retreated from Tobago. You're now retreating from the East-West corridor because you're giving up those seats to Gary, all right? And you're retreating further now down to the Southland after 13 years. And you're now having to go cap in hand out of desperation to beg Jack Warner and to beg NTA and to beg MND and to beg Philip Alexander and to beg everybody.
No, I don't think they begged Philip Alexander.
They did. He said he rejected them. I heard him. That's what he said this
morning.
But
that was he said.
But whatever. Whatever. All right, whatever. The case is Now after, this is the reality of where we are. And the point is that politicians will say and do anything that they believe out of their desperation will get them what they want, which is back into the corridors of office. And that is what is broken about the system, because now we are going to entrust, because you are being asked to vote for vote.
Yeah.
In other words, vote for the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
But the fact is, as has been said, the lesser of the two evils is still evil. Correct?
Correct.
And you put these people in government. What is Khadija becomes minister of whatever, Ratiram is our next minister, Mohit is our next minister. What outcome do you expect?
Failure.
Let me ask you this. If you were leaving to go away on holiday for a month, which one of those you'll put to run your business and say, I have a potential minister? Well, exactly.
None.
This is the point. So you are now going to put these people. What we are doing is we're setting up the population for continued failure.
Recycling rubbish.
Well, you're setting the population up for continued failure, because these people they just do not have the capacity or the capability to dig us out of the hole that we're in. It's as simple as that. And the same exists on the other side. I mean, I heard recently about Standard & Poor's and Moody's giving us a stable rating. But we have a stable rating only because we are fortuitous enough to have had a war in Ukraine and Russia, that the price of oil and gas went up. And we benefited from it. We've done nothing else. We've done absolutely nothing else. How does this stable outlook for given by Moody's and Standard & Poor's affect the people on the ground? Food prices. How does that affect the person who can't afford, the old lady who can't afford to buy medication, or the family who can't afford to buy food? How does it affect the person who is affected by the crime? How does it affect the guy, the family who's now in mourning because that fella driving on the bus route illegally and killed the lady? How does it affect the normal life of the people, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? It does not. It's not filtering down. And that is why I say our systems, our public service has broken down irretrievably. And it cannot be fixed by either of these two people. It's as simple as that. And the one way to register your disgust at this level of service you've had is to
hold
say,
your vote.
And don't squander your vote.
No, and this is what I've said. And we should make this the lowest voter turnout in history. And I mean, we have this chat in Bamboo. And you know me, I ain't putting water in I just tell them as it is. I say, you look the other day at the community center. We fixed it ourselves, we cleaned it ourselves. We are going to support, when it came to distribution of food stuff, we did most of the distribution, the mattresses, all those things. I mean, but people tend to forget. People tend to forget, intentionally or otherwise. And I cannot understand for the life of me. You have traveled all over the world. And, you know, the first thing you say when you say Vasan, boy, dog rice. And, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing the mentality that we have as people in this country. You know, somebody's name could be clear, but what happened is that at the end of the day, for example, with me, I was arrested 7 times. I was charged 7 times.
You could be a Mandela yourself.
You're telling me, right? No, well, after what I see some people compare with Mandela these days, no thanks, right? But when you look at my history, I spent nights in jail, but every single one of those cases I have won. I have brought up malicious prosecution, gone charge, all. You name it, they have tried to target me. Yeah. And I have come out of every single one of those things. I've been called car thief, dog thief. I've been called racist. I mean, I have real court cases pending right now. But the reality of it is that.
No, people know, you know. People know, you know. It's not that they don't know.
No, but it just...
No, they know damn well that these are inconsequential issues, and they know that they've gone through. In my issue, for example, right?
Yeah.
I not just won the case, I won damages and all my court, all my
But they forget that conveniently.
No, they forget it, you know. They remember, they know damn well, but they feel that will get under my skin if they say it, because they feel that They need to continue. Look at the video I did recently, right?
Yes, the one I posted up.
All right, okay. That got, I know, but on your page alone, I think that got about 10,000 views, and other pages, so it probably got about 30 or 40,000 views altogether. The only people who came and criticized me on that page were UNC supporters. The only people. All right? Go to hell, we hate you, this, that, go for your own party, normal nonsense. Okay? So I really don't take that as criticism. I laugh it off, right? Because ultimately, many of them just don't know any better. Many of them, I'll tell you this, many citizens in this country on both sides have been brainwashed to the extent that they almost believe that what's going on now is normal. Right? So we are normalizing a quality of life, right? That is so poor simply because they've been brainwashed to believe that, well, everywhere else in the world is like this. I just came back from Fiji, right? I'm doing some work in Fiji. I just came back from Fiji. And the day before I left Fiji, I was having lunch with the Deputy Prime Minister. And he's talking about all the great things Fiji is doing. Tell me, last year they had 15% growth, right? But it's boasting about 1% or whatever it is. 7 years we had negative growth, right? Yeah. 7 years of negative. Fiji had 15.4% growth last year.
Isn't it fact 3 years of consistent negative growth is more or less what is interpreted as a recession? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
No, 3 quarters.
3 quarters.
Yeah, 3 quarters, right? 15.4% annual growth last year. Their tourism sector represents 40% of their GDP. 40%, right? And they have nothing in terms of the beauty that Trinidad and Tobago. All their beaches are black. Black sand, right? People don't even go in the water, right? 40% of their GDP is tourism. 10% of their GDP is agriculture. They're heavily agriculture, right? They crushed 1 million tons of cane last year, right? So we talk about all these great things Fiji is doing. Now, the population of Fiji is 980-something thousand. 60% of African origin, 40% of Indian origin. Just like we came here, and so they went. But they went in 1875, we came in 1845. So I said to the guy, I say, what about the crime rate? So he looked at me like I was from Mars. So I thought he didn't understand the question. I said, the homicide rate. What's the homicide rate? He said, Vasant, 0. This is the middle of May. I said 0. He said, yeah. He said nobody has been killed in in Fiji this year. So he said, why do you ask? I said, well, we just crossed 200, right? And for us, that is almost becoming normalized. We expect 2 and 3 people die on a daily basis when you open the newspaper, right? If 2 people died in Fiji on a day, there's a crisis, they might have to declare some kind of state of emergency or something. But the point I'm making is we become accustomed to the mediocrity because that's what we are fed by our politicians.
Vasant, I am sitting down here listening to you. And I have told you in the past a long time ago that you are more than Prime Minister material. And the reason I told you that, it is because I still do have the greatest of respect for you. And I could say this without fear of contradiction, that when you were the Minister of Trade, more was done by you, more changes were put in place, and all of a sudden, when you left there, almost everything was reversed.
Do you know in 2014, Trinidad and Tobago was voted in the top 10, movers in the ease of doing business in the world, by the World Bank, right? By the World Bank.
I remember
because
that.
I focused on that from the time I became minister. I said, what's the one most important thing, priority, that if we concentrated on would cause a ripple effect because many things will have to change, right? Because to get the ease of doing business moving in the right direction, you had to change a number of things. You had to change how customs operate, how the port operates, how Bureau of Standards operates. All of those things have to change. We went from 85 to 62 when I left. We were voted by the World Bank as being one in the top 10 movers, reformers in the world for ease of doing business in 2014, right? 2 years ago, we moved back from 62 where I left it to 105.
I'm surprised. I thought we would have been 140 under this one that we have there right now.
So, but the point is that a lot could be achieved if you have the right people in the right position. Look at what we did in agriculture, right? In 2 years, look at what we did. For the first time, the farmers of this country felt that they were a part of what was going on, and agricultural production started
you were
to
on the
increase
ground.
significantly.
You were in your tall boots.
Yeah, I was on the ground.
In fact, I cannot remember you as minister showing up in jacket and tie.
I was on the ground. I was on the ground. And I also got the trust of the farmers, because if you remember, when the housing minister went and bulldozed the crops in Egypt trees,
yes,
I sat in my office and I didn't know about it. And the farmers called me and they said, Minister, this is what has happened. I said, no, that is impossible, because I have made a commitment through this government that we were going to safeguard farmers, and we were actually going to convert whatever was planned to go into housing. We were going to try and see if we could convert it back into farmlands. So it was not possible that he would have gone and bulldozed the crops. Well, it turned out that Dr. Mullinala had bulldozed all the crops on an Easter weekend. The farmers started to march from Curep down into Port of Spain, and I sat in my office and I said, you know what? How could I watch these people who I've made a commitment to over the last 2 years, watch them in this hot sun, knowing that what they have worked for has been bulldozed, and sit in my office and just take that? And I couldn't. And I sat in my office about an hour, and when they got to Ryson Road, I went and I joined them.
You went, yes.
I went and I joined them. I walked. And I didn't care about my job at that time. I didn't care. I really didn't care. Because it was not a cabinet decision to bulldoze the crops. It was an individual's position to bulldoze the crops. So I felt I would get the support of the Prime Minister when she came back. She'd gone to Brazil to watch football. All right? And I stood with the farmers. I went to Woodford Square and I spoke to them and I told them this should never have happened. It will not happen again. And I promise you, I will put this right. I'll make this right. And when the Prime Minister came back, she threatened to fire me. And she said, the next time you do something like this, you're out on the streets. And I said to her, I am not in this place for office or for power. And I will do what I have to do. Because if I've made a commitment to people, I will make sure I keep that commitment. And all the farmers listening who might be listening to your program today, they will tell you it raises the hairs on my arm when I talk about it now. You know, because I could not, in good conscience, sit down and save my office, save my backside, and watch these people who I had made commitments to and whose trust I had gained. Farmers used to come to me and cry, because remember, without a lease, right, you can't get a loan from the bank.
Correct.
All these farmers that you see that grow all over, they build their houses on cash. They bought their cars on cash. They send their children to school on cash, you know, because they could never access, because they didn't have their leases. We started to put all those things in place. These farmers used to come and cry out of just sheer gratefulness that for the first time their voices were being listened to. They felt like real people, right? They felt like real people. So if we work with the current system that we have and we continue to play revolving doors, this place is going to get worse and worse and worse, and politicians are going to continue to take advantage of us because they will feel they can do and say anything they want.
Yeah, but I have noticed something that, and I noticed it at the beach too, because I conversed with quite a few people, and we were discussing the politics, and most of the people who I conversed with were persons of the Hindu background. And we all know that the UNC is a strong, the bulk of supporters come from the Hindu community. And it was strange to hear almost every single person that I spoke to being disenchanted with where the party is now. And they are not going to vote, and they are not going to support it because of what is taking place. For some, the acceptance of Jack Warner into the party is causing, with a lot of intellectuals, the persons who, not the regular Joes, but the intellectuals, those people, the middle class, they're saying, no, this can't work. And what happened is that it is something that is not the norm. Even on Facebook, when you look at maybe an article with Kamala, and you look on the CNC3 page, you will see the mirages and the facades and commenting, and it's real profiles, and it's negative comments. Yeah. And I would like to commend those persons for actually speaking out now, because I remember Satmaraj saying something when he and Kamala had fell out. And he said, I free your vote now. And seriously, that caused me concern, because your vote should not be held by any individual, by any religious leader, by no one. You're an individual with issues in your community. No one should tell you that you're going to support that person because your vote belongs to us. You have to, and that is a mindset that we have to change.
Because they have made it almost an obligation for people that if you look like this and you're a Hindu, you have to vote for this party.
Correct.
Because you're an Imam Karam. And that's they will say it openly. Correct. You're a backstabber, you're an Imam Karam, you're a this. So there's almost an obligation. The voter feels almost obligated, peer pressure almost, to say that they must vote in a certain way. And vote for the party.
For me, I've said it before, and I said it last week as well. It is a known fact that the Muslim community does not support the whole male and female. We don't support that. That is our religious belief. We don't drink, right? On one side, we have a megalomaniac. On the other side, we have somebody who is a habitual drinker and somebody who supports that type of lifestyle and who promotes it publicly. And I, for one, cannot stand up and say, I will support either or. And this is why I have taken, like you, and I will take my licks, I don't care. I have taken a principled stand that I cannot, not only because of my religious belief, but how the hell can I sit down here and watch what is taking place politically? You have lost 11 elections. And people still have confidence in you. You are, how old is Kamala? 8 years? 76, 75?
She might be in her
right? She's not well. God bless her, give her health and strength. But why it is that we just refuse to put people who can make a difference? I watch the way you carry about yourself. I watch the family you come from. Your, I think it's your niece. She would come here with Vasant, with your father, Barrett. Right? She would come here, and the way this girl would talk to me is like, I know this girl for years. It's not to say that your family come from a different background, a background of wealth, and it's like, or they live in a different time zone.
One thing I'll tell you is that we have instilled and inculcated values in our children that are almost unshakable. In the sense that it's not that, I mean, people feel, and I know the UNC attempts to divide and subdivide into knife and fork and all this nonsense, right? So you go India and Africa, and then knife and fork, then 1%, then whatever it is, right? People don't realize that, yes, my father was a professional, but that was a step up from where his father was. His father made sure my father got an education. My mother's mother was a cane cutter in Rabin Saab. Right? And my mother, when my father and my mother got married, my mother used to collect bottles for the 5 cents to get back, or the whatever to actually be able to pay, to put food on our table, because my father was still studying at the time, you know. So they worked themselves up from that. And then my father had hope, like I would hope, that my children would be better than me. So he educated all of us in a way that we would be better, or hopefully have a better quality of life. And I've done the same thing. But when my children were growing up, my children, although they were abroad studying, they never came back on holiday, you know. They worked tables, they washed cars, they worked at KFC, they worked in retail outlets. They never came back to Trinidad. Never. For holidays, like all the other children fly back here. No. They worked, and as a direct result of that, they understand the value of money, they understand the value of work, they have certain ethical values and behaviors in which how they conduct themselves. As a direct result, I mean, my son has his PhD in hydrogen cell technology.
How old is he now?
He's 34. He's had his PhD now for 10 years.
And he is down here?
No, he works and lives in Japan and China and different places. He's working with the Tata Group, the Ambani Group, your Range Rover people, who are now developing hydrogen technology in a big way, right? Because that's the next wave. And the company that he started up with 2 of his PhD colleagues has just raised £100 million in startup finance. My daughter, she has a PhD in biomechanical engineering. She's at Oxford. She was part of the AstraZeneca Oxford team that developed the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Oh, well, then I shouldn't be talking to you then at all.
So, we're proud of what they've achieved, and they're very simple and humble people with the kind of values that my wife and I instilled in them. And that's why when people, and my youngest daughter is a barrister. So when people say you must...
Abroad?
No,
UK.
she's here. She came back. Here? She came back a year ago.
She practices?
She practices, and again, look at the work ethic. She works at a chambers in Port of Spain, but she has a private practice in London for which she gets up at 3 o'clock every morning and goes to court, virtually. So from 3 to 8, she's at court in London. She's 25 years old, and then she does a full-time job here at her chambers in Port of Spain. Right?
Definitely take on the mother's side.
Yes, I always tell my wife, the children took your brains because you don't have much left.
You're on your own. You're on your own with that. You're on your own with that. We have literally run out of time. So what happens? What I want to do is that I will want to do a part 2 where we could take calls and things. But what is your final message to Trinidad and Tobago?
If you are fed up, say you're fed up, and the only way to show that you're fed up is essentially to not squander your vote. I'm not saying don't vote in all circumstances. If you're happy with the representation that you've had from your representative, and that representative has come back, or if you believe a new person is coming and that person will give you, having spoken to him or her, that person will give you the level of representation.
Or they have a history of you seeing it yourself.
That will improve the quality of your life, because that's all that matters. That's all a politician's role in life is, to improve the quality of lives of the citizens that he or she serves, right? So if you feel that that person has served you well, or if you've seen somebody come from somewhere else and that person has achieved certain things and people have spoken well about that person, I say by all means vote for that person. But if you are fed up of the kind of representation you've had, I spoke to a few people in Bamboo here today who called, right? And if you're fed up with the level of representation that you've received, this is your one opportunity. I said in the video
to say no.
That in 1976, Trinidad and Tobago was given Republican status, right? And the definition of a republic is where the power of the state lies in the hands of the citizen. And I asked people in the video, how much power do you really have other than when an election comes? Outside of an election, you have no power.
But I said it. You heard when I said
you have no power.
To select the most powerful person in this land, the president, we have no say.
Quite correct.
We have no say. So the commissioner could come from wind.
So your one opportunity to register either your pleasure or your displeasure or your disgust is when you have this opportunity to vote, and don't waste it.
Yeah, but the thing is that, I am still confused that, boy, even though this person do nothing for me, I do everything in my village, I to support it because, I to support the party. And that is the type of...
well, just think about the future you're creating for your children.
Why?
Right? Just think of the future.
They live for now. Once they could go and carry a duck down Cora, and one is that send up Angostura stocks more.
What you have to consider, Inshan, seriously, and I've seen it happen in many other countries, is that what you have to consider is down the road, your children are refugees, leaving this country in droves, fleeing to other places because you didn't take the necessary action when you could have done.
And that is point. Well, folks, I would like to thank Vasan for, I'm surprised that I don't have to add the DR handle to his name as yet. I mean, what is holding you back?
Deliberately staying away from that.
Yes, right? Because a man with your qualifications and and I've said it before, when you listen, this man, when it comes to his reputation, is internationally well known. It reminds me of my own community. We have so many talented people here who could help our community, but when foreigners come, we grovel at their feet. We don't appreciate what we have. And I just wish that there will come a time, and I am in my 50s right now, and I never thought that I would have been repeating the same thing for the last 25 years about us wanting change in this country. I thought that the young ones would have made a difference. And I think it's not too late for them to. So again, I would like to thank you so much. I do apologize for me being unable to take calls. As you realize, we are 6 minutes over our time. Look out for a repeat of this program at 9 p.m. on Saturday. Just a reminder for the fundraiser that we did for Andy Rizal. For those of you who brought in, guys, could we get that graphic up? We raised $235,000. The pledges were about $300,000. You have sent in about $235,000 at last count, and I was supposed to get an updated accounting from around 2 p.m. this evening. Unfortunately, the message was received late by the manager of the bank. She promised that she will send it to me tomorrow. So for those of you who have not fulfilled your obligation, I ask that you do, because by Friday evening, I want to finish tally, state that we earned X, Y, and Z, and make that check payable to West Shore. Of course, I have to call Dr. Vinu, my good friend in West Shore, and of course beg for a discount so that the funds accordingly, the extra that we save, could pass on to. Yeah, and as he planned. And I'm Vasant, in 90 minutes, I was able to raise.
And it comes back to the point you were making earlier on, that people say it's because if you this one get voted and that one gets in office, because you are an influencer and people trust your judgment.
No. Don't say that, because what happens is that I see some people advertising products and they are influencers, and brother man, they can't influence me at all.
Well, no, you are an influencer on people. You are able to influence people because they trust your judgment. And that's the reason why so many people obviously advertise on your station, because they know that when they get your endorsement on your station, obviously it's worth their while. So, and congratulations.
Before we go, guys, can I get a Cure background, please? This is just to remind people that, number one, here we go. Right, number one, Cure, you can still get Cure at supermarkets, or you can make arrangements to call. As I've said before, and this is documentary evidence we have, where elderly people who suffered with joint pains, etc., the introduction of Cure on a daily basis assisted them. I continue to say, if you as a child watching your mother bawling from joint pain, I remember my mother used to use WD-40 on she knee, and that ain't no joke. You're laughing, my son. That is fact. If you ask my brother and them, and you know, since I started drinking Cure, which is oxygenated water, number one, you have more energy. Number two, I have a friend, I call her Tomato. She never could have gone out in the sun without her skin welting. She started using the Cure now, and the Cure has helped her. She now goes out in the sun, where she couldn't have gone out for 1 minute, now she goes out for hours. And this has been proven. It's factual, it's science, right? It's more than science. So for those of you who have problems with whatever illness or whatever diseases you have, try it for just about a month. Just 1 month. If you had surgery, try it as well. If you have a child that has difficulty focusing on schoolwork, or just plain hardened from the amount of sugar they take in, organize and purchase it. That's the number on the screen, and it's free delivery. All right, so this is where I have to end off. I thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, as I said before, Saturday, we are having this massive sale down by me, where we have literally millions of dollars in goods that we are moving out on Saturday. Remember, we're the agents for Ronix. We have been that brand agent for donkey years now. And we have, let me tell you something, the reputation, it's not like those disposable tools that you're getting on the market. Ronix is a German brand, so things are manufactured according to German specs. And I plan to be a madman on Saturday. You know, they call me the original bamboo piper, right? That's what we're talking about. All right, so I'll catch you on Saturday for our sale. Take care, folks. God bless you, and I'll catch you next week for Breaking Barriers. Assalamu alaikum and good evening.